What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Big Vern coming to you live from the App Stupid Studios. App like you got some sense. Smash the like and subscribe button. It helps us out here at the channel and it goes a long way and we appreciate it. Great show lined up for you today on a busy sports weekend. My goodness. So we're going to go ahead and start with Georgia. Is Georgia overranked? I asked that question about the opening season when they faced Clemson. Was Clemson overvalued or which of the two? However, some things that happened over the weekend have me very puzzled about Kirby Smart and the Georgia 500 over there. Then we're going to talk about Pitt in West Virginia, the backyard brawl for it all. My goodness, that was something to be beheld. Then you'll go to the ACC, and Florida State has just fallen off the map. I don't know how you get this thing back on track. And I think the most cartoonish thing I've seen was these phony individuals in legacy media sit there in these cheap suits and talk about you got to fire Mike Norvell. How? You know he just got an extension in February of this year. How are you going to fire somebody you just gave them an extension this year? You don't even know what the buyout is. Just stop it. Just sit down. These people are so retarded and bad. I don't think you can even say that anymore. How about Mongoloid? Anyway, congratulations to Coach Prime. He defeated his in-state rival, Colorado State. That was a good win for him. We'll go into the numbers and get behind that. Then Ole Miss just rolls in and beats down Wake Forest. Wow. And I was saying that this was going to be a test for Ole Miss. They were having none of that. We'll take a quick 20 and come back from an unofficial sponsor of the show. This is Big Vern. Drop the spot. Yeah, Subway, eat fresh, refresh. Order online, download the app, or visit the good folks at your local Subway. Subway, eat fresh, refresh. So, is Georgia overranked? And I asked that question because a South Carolina team that wasn't predicted to be anything in the SEC this year, they embarrassed Stoops and company last week in Kentucky. I mean, it was a drubbing. And so this week, Georgia was supposed to pick the bones. This game was not that. This game was 13-12. I mean, Kentucky almost pulled off the upset of the decade. I don't care how many people like to make fun of Marcus Freeman and the Irish for losing to Northern Illinois, but hey, look, if Kentucky would have beat Georgia, you talk about a seismic shift. Georgia couldn't stay in the top 10. Georgia could not stay in the top 10, losing to an unranked Kentucky team. And this thing didn't look pretty. I mean, I was even flabbergasted watching this. This was just one of those games where you had to kind of scratch your head because Kentucky was winning at the half on field goals. Kentucky was winning 6-3. And I'm sitting there looking like, where's this high-powered Georgia offense? Where's this all this run game at? Where's all this line them up and we'll knock them down? Because that wasn't present in Lexington. And by no stretch of the imagination am I saying South Carolina is better than Georgia. But South Carolina made Kentucky look like they should be playing in middle school, let alone sandlot ball. But you are the number one ranked team in this country, and you put up 3 points at halftime to a Kentucky team that got blown out on that same field 6 days ago. There's no excuses for that. And I know what most of you knuckle dragging, mouth breathing sacks of meat are going to sit here and say, oh, Werner, you're making enough. You're just making a lot out of anything. It's a mountain out of a molehill. Shut up. The biggest marks in the world are football fans. And if you don't think that that deserves a tumble, especially when you told all these other conferences, you got to start blowing these teams out, even for everybody to take, interest in you. Georgia is not held to that same standard. The Bulldogs aren't held to that same standard. Kirby Smart has got to know this is a bad win. A very bad win. The second half, they just put up 10 points. 3 points again in the third quarter. I don't know what kind of defensive masterpiece Stoops was putting on, but why was he waiting? Where was this effort against South Carolina? The man looked clueless last week when field reporters were putting microphones in his face and asking him, hey, how do you get this thing back on track? And then he said, and I quote, I don't know what we're doing. What? And somehow Kirby Smart plays this same team and he can't put up anything but 13 points. You've got 4 and 5 star kid this, you've got NIL this and that, and all you can put up is 13 points? Man, yo, hit me with a rap album we promoting this month. This is Big Vern. Drop the spot. I know you ain't gonna believe this, but we got another rap album we promoting this month. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. It's your boy Big Vern promoting Hush Kingpin and Ninth Wonder, the Super Goat, in stores now. Get it where you legally consume music, whether it be Apple Music, Google Play, or Spotify. My personal favorites on the track is Rewind, The King is Born, Friend, Famous Poet, The Waviest, and Already. Get it in stores. The Super Goat in stores now. Yeah, shout out to Ninth Wonder and Hush Kingpin. Super Goat. It's a very good album. I'm late because that album dropped earlier this year, and that was before we even got started. So some things are before me, but as I find the hip hop gems, I bring them back and just put them out there first and foremost. Again, we're an entertainment business. So when we talked about these horrendous numbers in Georgia, here it is. You only had 160 passing yards. That's horrendous. And that showed me something, that you may have a deficiency in quarterback, because South Carolina's quarterback, this was only his second or third game that he had gotten a hold of Kentucky, and he was fresh out of high school. And that guy looked like, hey, look, the nerves have settled. They've settled down, and I'm going to slice and dice Kentucky and burn them with my wheels. I was the first person on these internet streets that said, hey, look, Kentucky, they're going to beat South Carolina. I did not know that that was not the case at all. But the fact that Georgia only put up 130 passing yards, what? Where's this dynamic rushing attack at? They only had 102 rushing yards. Where is this old you line them up, we'll knock them down mentality? Come on, man. Come on, man. They only had 12 first downs. This is the number one team in the country. If I'm making too much of this, then someone in the comments say, hey, look, I think you're overreacting. But if you want better for the good folks of Athens, somebody's got to be held accountable. We always say that. We hold kids accountable. When the kids make mistakes, when the kids mess up, everybody's the first person to get out there and say the kids need to be held accountable. But when the adults screw up, who's holding them accountable? It can't be the AD. It damn sure ain't the fan base. Because fans, like I say, fans are the biggest marks out there. Mindless drones. You feed us anything, we'll flock to it. Like pigeons to poop. 12 first downs? The third down efficiency. They were put in that position 13 times. 13 times. They only converted 5 of them. That is atrocious. We're talking about standards for the number one team in the country. And it can't be this, oh, the ACC, they have the best teams, they play each other, and then they knock each other off. That old mumbo jumbo bullshit. I'm not buying it. Then fatigue set in and just dumb, moronic plays. 9 penalties for 85 yards. That's frustration. That's frustration that you all couldn't put a team away that got blown off that same field 6 days ago. How does this even happen? How does this even happen? Kentucky held on to the ball for 35 minutes and 2 seconds. So they was able to keep the offense on the field because Kentucky had 23 first downs against an SEC defense. Kentucky had 23 first downs against an SEC defense. A supreme number 1 ranked college defense in this country. Kentucky had 23 first downs. And I almost feel like the numbers from Kentucky really was just like, where was all of this at? It just came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. No stars to report of any significance. Again, I told you I am not buying Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck is just a guy out here cashing in that NIL. He's got a hefty resume, but 24 attempts, 15 to 24 for 160 yards, no scores. He called his own number 5 times and scrambled for 18 yards. That's it. That's it. I just don't see where that's at. Trevor Iantine, he's the big guy in that running back room. 20 touches, 79 yards. This is how bad this was. And I know everybody's entitled to a bad game, but this was all over bad. It wasn't that the offense wasn't clicking. The defense wasn't clicking. Nobody was putting up points. Georgia got goose-egged in the first quarter. The number 1 team in the country got goose-egged in the first quarter to a far inferior opponent. What are we even talking about here? The high man in your wide receiver department, Dominic Lovett. He turned in 6 grabs, 89 yards, no touchdowns. Again, I don't know where you go with this. This was bad football. And if this is the case, how volatile the SEC is, I think the number 1 team has to be between Alabama and Tennessee. They're the most consistent team. Well, them and Ole Miss. I think Georgia's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And I don't think the effort that they gave in this game, I don't think that effort is going to win the SEC. That's not good enough to beat Oklahoma. That damn sure ain't good enough to beat Texas. You're not going to beat Tennessee. You're not going to beat Alabama. Not with a gang of field goals. That's not going to happen. You have to put points up against these teams or you will get blown out. And I just asked that question. Is Georgia overranked? I just don't know. Like I say, I was expecting a lot more out of him. I was expecting this to be a soul-crushing defeat for Stoops and the Dummy Bunch. But hey, look, they lived to survive another day. And that's not anything to take away from a game plan that they put together for the Georgia Bulldogs. But looking at that right now, and if I'm Tennessee, I'm licking my chops. If I'm Alabama, I'm licking my chops. Like, yeah, come on to town. Give me that same effort. Hell, LSU played a classic down there with South Carolina. There were so many good games within that conference, and even conference up against another Power 5. This one just seemed to fall flat. And it left me with more questions than answers. However, I could be wrong. The good folks of Athens, let me know, do I have it wrong? Is Kirby Smart in the Georgia 500 better than I thought? Leave your hit us up in the comments.